The following is a Podcast One Minnesota production.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
If it's made in Minnesota, who's making it and how?
Yeah, you got that right.
It's the Makers of Minnesota, focusing on the products and services uniquely made in Minnesota, and conversations with the makers, entrepreneurs, and innovators in Minnesota about how they conceived of their products and how they brought them to market. With Stephanie Hansen, it's the Makers of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Stephanie Hansen, and you are here with the Makers of Minnesota podcast. You can find us where you find all of your great podcasts, whether it's Podcast One, whether it's Stitcher, whether it's Apple or iTunes. And every week we talk with entrepreneurs and people that are making things in the state of Minnesota. I just was so impressed with all of the great makers that I was meeting along the way in my own small business life. And I said, hey, I want to talk to these people. I want to figure out how it is they do this, what kind of assets they put into it, what kind of resources, and how it is that we have such an amazing climate of makers. So if you are listening to the podcast and you like the stories that you're hearing, please share that, or you can give a rating as well at Podcast One or at iTunes. That helps other people hear the podcast and become more familiar with them. When I post something, you can share it on your Facebook page. Anything you can do to help spread the word helps get the word out about these great entrepreneurs that we're talking to every week. We are on episode, we are on episode 27. So that is pretty exciting. When I first started this, I was like, I wonder how I'm going to find people to talk to, and I can't stop finding people to talk to. If you are listening to the podcast and you have someone in your family that you think I should talk to, or your boss, or you know someone, feel free to send me an email anytime with suggestions. Hansen, Hansen at hbi.com is where you can reach me. Or, of course, you can reach me on the Makers of Minnesota Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram pages. I'm always looking for new show ideas. And for whatever reason, men do not reach out to me. So if you have a man in your life that's made something cool, or he's got some service that he does, or some technology idea, I'd love to talk with people in the healthcare industry. Feel free to reach out. This week, I am here with Laura Ochoko, and she is the founder of a company called The Bath Bird. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Steph. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being on the show today. I have to just start out by saying you might be in what I feel like is one of the most competitive industries ever. You are making bath and body products. How on earth did you decide to get into that business? What were you doing before?
Well, I actually worked for an insurance company before. So
a real jump off the dock.
Yeah, totally. So I'd had experience in HR and payroll. I worked for a school district for a while, and then I worked for an insurance company, and then just decided that my needs weren't really being met, and then I wanted to try something new and different, and something that I could use my creative skills a little bit more. And it so happened, like, I had made body scrubs as gifts for my friends a few times, and that had gone over pretty well. And so a friend of mine had been buying bath bombs from another company, and they went out of business. And so she said to me, I'm really bummed I can't get these bath bombs anymore. And I said, bath bombs are easy to make. I can make bath bombs for you. And so I started making bath bombs for her and found out that they're really complicated to make, and the humidity's got to be perfect. And
so let's back up. A bath bomb can either be one of those like softball size ones, or I guess baseball is probably more accurate, or it can be like a half ping pong ball sphere, right?
Yeah, I mean, usually you see them as a total sphere, like about a tennis ball or baseball size.
Okay.
Yep. So I think that some people make half spheres, and those are like for shower tabs.
Okay.
So I usually don't see bath bombs in the half sphere, but like a shower tab you might see.
So first of all, let's just back up 1 second.
Sure.
So you're working at this insurance company, and you're kind of a creative, artsy-fartsy person. Are you like, I can make cookies, I'm doing all kinds of crafts at home, and so you're going to make these bath scrubs for your coworkers. How did you figure out how to make a bath scrub?
Well, scrubs are really pretty simple. I mean, like, you just have an exfoliant, and then you have an oil. And yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a figure it out kind of person, and like there's got to be a way to do it.
Was
And
this in the days of Pinterest or even before Pinterest?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely in the days of Pinterest.
Okay, so you're like, yeah, I can do this.
There's a million recipes on Pinterest that you can do that with. And so I really started with something super basic. I mean, I think that my very first body scrub, I think I used salt and like a fine salt. And then I think I used coconut oil and some other really inexpensive oil.
Mm-hmm.
And I just it was fine. It got the job done. But then once I started my business, I really started looking into different fatty acid profiles of different oils and what they could actually bring to the skin. I felt that salt was really harsh on the skin,
Mm-hmm.
so I switched to fine cane sugar instead. And like really perfected that recipe to be something that feels great on the skin.
You actually provided me with some products, and the grapefruit body scrub was phenomenal. And I loved, I didn't know it was sugar, which makes sense. It was the right oil consistency too. What oil do you use in that?
I use a combination of oils. So I have the main oil is soybean oil, and then there's rice bran oil, apricot kernel oil. A little bit of vitamin E is in there too. So yeah, so it's just like I really looked at the composite of each of the oils to try and figure out like what fatty acids are in there. There's some essential fatty acids that the body doesn't produce itself, and so it can really be. It's a good middle of the road scrub. It's good for skin that's really dry. It's good for aging skin.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's not super heavy. It doesn't leave your tub super greasy.
Yeah.
It soaks into your skin quickly. So those are all attributes that I really wanted in a perfect scrub.
So you do the scrub and someone says, make this bath bomb. And you said bath bombs are hard to make. Like, how do you do it?
So really the difficult part of it is that you need to have, like, the humidity's got to be just right.
Okay.
So, and then there's a lot of just every time you add an ingredient, there's a different variable. So the essential mix of a bath bomb is just baking soda and citric acid. I mean,
Okay.
really, that's all you need. So you can do baking soda, citric acid, some type of oil to hold it together, and then whatever fragrance or essential oil that you want to use to make it smell good. And that's the basis of it. And then when I was working on mine, I decided, well, I wanted to make sure the bath water is nice and soft, so I added a little bit of cornstarch to my recipe.
Yep.
Instead of a soft oil, I use mango butter in all my bath bombs. So it's really nourishing for the skin. Mango butter is pretty low on the allergenic scale, so not a lot of people are allergic to mango butter.
Is it just, what is mango butter? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really derived from mango seeds.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So you now are making bath bombs, and I'm sure you're still working at the insurance company.
Yep.
At what point were you like, okay, this is a business? And was it always called the Bath Bird?
Yeah, so it became a business probably sooner than it should have. I had been doing it on the side for about 6 to 9 months or so. And when I got to a point at my job where I sort of felt like, well, it was either move up in the company or leave.
Yep.
And the positions that I could move up to didn't really interest me. And so I thought, well, I can cross my fingers and try and make this work and invest myself full time into this and see what happens. And so that's what I did. And then I picked a company name at that point.
Okay, so tell me, literally, do you remember the day you made that decision? And I'm assuming you mentioned that you're married.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me the day you made that decision and you came home and you told your husband, guess what, I'm quitting my job and I'm going to do bath products, what that felt like?
Really scary is what it felt like. But I remember the day that I registered my business with the state. And it was actually one of my friend's birthdays. So my company shares the same birthday as one of my friends. And so I remember I emailed my group of friends and I was like, I started a company today. And then and it's called the Bath Bird. And, and so that was how I did it. And, my husband knew I'd been thinking about it. So it wasn't like I just turned off the light one day.
But you literally cut your household income in half.
Yep.
And I'm assuming, did you have a website? Was that how you sold your products at first? Or did you go to trade shows? How did you start laying the groundwork?
So yeah, I started with my own website, Shopify.
Is that a good platform? A lot of small producers use that. That works for you?
Yeah, I really like it a lot. It's not super expensive. I mean, you can make it more expensive if you buy a more expensive package.
Yep.
They have lots of apps that you can customize your website with, so I appreciate that. And even though I worked in a semi-technical field at the insurance company,
Yep.
and I feel like I'm pretty good technologically. You wouldn't need a lot of tech background to learn how to make a site with Shopify.
Okay.
So it was easy to put together, and it was fast.
And does it do the back end too, like process your PayPal payments and,
Yes.
put a tax statement together for you to submit? And
The tax statements it doesn't do, but I can pull out reports with Excel
Yeah.
files to give me all the information that I need.
okay.
So yeah, so it processes all my payments for me, and I have different sales channels, so I sell through my Shopify channel directly on Facebook, directly on Pinterest. They just started a new Facebook Messenger
Mhm.
channel, so I've used that a little bit too, and that's really great because you can talk to your customers immediately.
So how much did it cost you? Like you quit your job. Was it a $10,000 investment, more than that to get started?
It was less than that for me. We had a fair amount in savings,
Mhm.
and my mother actually hates my car. So she gave me $5,000 to buy a new car, or to go toward a new car, and I put it toward the business instead.
Oh, no. Do you have like some kind of clunker that she's worried is going to crap out on you?
No, it's a great car. I have a Honda Fit, and I love my Honda Fit. And my mom was like, she just felt like it was not
Too small and not safe.
Yeah,
and
not
that's hilarious.
safe. She just thought it was going to be just a tin can on the road. So, yeah, so she was like, I really think you should buy a nicer car. And so, and I was like, okay. And then I came home and I was like, do we need to get another car? My husband's like, no, we don't need another car. We're fine.
Was she mad that you spent the $5,000?
No, she's like, I'd like you to get a new car, but the money is yours to do whatever you want.
Oh,
with."
and she must be so proud of you.
Yeah, I think so.
Businesswoman starting her own business. So you immediately started selling on Facebook and Pinterest and on your website. So you didn't go to like farmers markets or trade shows or that kind of thing?
I didn't. I also started an Etsy shop, and my Etsy shop has actually been the quieter of the two.
Mhm.
But no, I didn't do any trade shows until last fall. Like probably right at the end of the summer, I started doing markets and stuff. At the beginning, I sort of thought I didn't want to do them at all because a lot of times with farmers markets, you have to commit to an entire season.
Yep.
And I was like, I can't commit to a whole season, And then I found some really great little maker markets. Minneapolis Craft Markets does a great makers market.
She's pretty amazing.
She is.
I need to
yeah,
get her on
yeah.
one of my podcasts.
Yeah, Haley is wonderful, and she runs really great shows that are well organized. She cares about all the makers,
Mhm.
and so it made a huge difference once I hooked up with her, and I was like, oh, I can totally do this. So then I did about 1 to 2 markets with her throughout the fall, and then I really picked up at the end of the year last year. I did Made in Minnesota.
Yep.
I did a couple other.
And that's Tracy Dyer with Urban Junket. She started that. She was one of the original folks I interviewed. I think she was like
Yep.
my second guest.
Yeah, yep.
And has the trade show been a good opportunity for you?
Yeah, it's great. It gives me a whole different perspective because having my products right in front of somebody is totally different than them reading the description online.
And you can explain it and show them and do some show and tell, I'm assuming.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm from a background where I feel like a bath bomb is totally normal. Like I know what to do with a bath bomb. If I see one in a store, I know how to use it. And there's a ton of people that come to my booth and they're like, what's a bath bomb? I have no idea what this is. And I'm like, oh, you just drop it in the water and it fizzes away. And like with huge companies like Lush, and there used to be one in the Mall of America called Basin. They did bath bombs too. Yeah, I'm always surprised that people don't know what a bath bomb is.
Yeah, I didn't. I think the first time I saw them was at Lush in the Mall of America, and I was like, what are these giant things?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got scrubs, you've got bath bombs. Do you also do lotions and other kinds of oils?
Yeah, so I do a body and bath oil,
Mhm.
which I love to use right out of the shower. So it's like a really nice lightweight moisturizer. In the winter, I do a whipped body butter. And so I only make it in the fall, in the winter months, because it's too warm the
Right.
rest of the year to make it, and it just won't hold up. But it's cocoa butter, mango butter, and shea butter all whipped together, and it's great for like really dry winter skin. Like I love it on my knuckles; that they get really dry in the winter. So
Yep.
that's like my most intense moisturizer.
Can I just ask the dumbest question?
Yeah.
Like, I just have this idea that you're in your kitchen with your like KitchenAid blender. Is that how this works?
You've got it spot on.
You
literally
literally whip it up.
Yep, you've got it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've got a bright orange KitchenAid blender, and I've got the big bowl, and and you just whip it, and you whip the butters until they become light and fluffy, and they look like whipped cream.
Yep.
So and
then put them in a jar, and there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yep. It must be. This is totally like weird inside baseball, but it must be hard to then clean it.
No, it really isn't. Because like basically I just wipe it out with paper towels, and then to get all the extra out of the bowl.
Yep.
And then Dawn dish soap.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's totally fine. Yeah.
So you're at home, and so if how much do you spend not 100% of your time, but so this is your full-time business of an 8-hour day, about what percentage is making products versus marketing products, selling products, managing the back end of the business?
It kind of goes in waves. So I might not be making products every day. It just depends on how much I have in stock and how many orders are coming in. So I would say in a typical week, I'm probably making products for 4 hours a day for 2 or 3 of those days.
Do you ever just get completely sick of it?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's like probably the fun part maybe has sailed, and now it's like, okay, it's your business, and you got to make cookies every day.
Right, exactly. I mean, like, there are still really fun parts. Like, I love looking into new fragrances and trying to figure out, like, new formulas for soap and that kind of thing. So I enjoy that aspect a lot. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's kind of like, oh, I've got to make, 40 bath bombs today, to keep up or whatever. And so, so it does it can be a grind. Yeah.
So
sure.
like we interviewed Salsa Lisa, and there was a point where she went kind of from farmer's market to commercial kitchen to bigger production line. Is that the next step for you, that you would hire someone to make these products for you, or that you would get a bigger facility? Yeah,
I feel like, if I was going to expand, I think that a studio, like having a dedicated studio, would be my next step.
Yep. So maybe like a artist studio or something where you could have more of your equipment. And...
Yep, exactly. Yeah, because right now I'm really spread out. Like, I'm fortunate that I have a large house with like lots of storage. So I've got some stuff in the basement. I've got some stuff up in my office, and I'm always making stuff in the kitchen. Yep. So I'm like up and down the stairs all the time, But so a dedicated studio space where somebody could come in and help me, I think that would be really great. But I'm definitely hesitant to let go entirely of the making process.
Okay.
I'm not ready for that yet. And I'm not sure if I am ever going to be able to relinquish that kind of control and just let like somebody completely take over, or sell my recipe to have a co-packer do it for me.
Can you live on the money that you make from doing this?
On my own right now? No.
Okay. So is that something that is a goal, or is it not a goal and you're doing this because you love it and your husband can support you guys and that's fine too? Like, I'm trying to figure out, how does this hobby and this passion go to a business, or is that not the goal and it's more about fulfillment and self-enjoyment? Yeah,
I would definitely love to be able to make a full-time living on it. Like, that's for sure my goal. And
do you have capacity? So if the orders keep coming, you can make it happen.
Yep, definitely. So I really feel like that is something that is manageable. It's more than a hobby for me. And I want to have it be a full-time business.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing more wholesaling this year. So last year I started off, I have had one arrangement with one store.
Yep.
And this year I've got 3 stores now that carry my stuff. Well, 4 actually, counting the St. Kate's Bookstore carries my stuff.
Oh, nice.
So, so 4 stores carry my stuff, and then I'm wanting to my goal is to get to 10 wholesale accounts by the end of the year, and I think that I'm well on my way.
So you call, let's just say, St. Kate's Bookstore. What other stores are you in?
So I'm also in Upsy Daisy in White Bear Lake. So that's a super cute little store. Scout Vintage Collective in Golden Valley, and I love those ladies over there. Doodlebird Design and Gifts just started carrying my stuff.
And that's on Excelsior, right?
Nope, it's just right across the street from The Baker's Wife.
Oh, okay. Yep. All right.
And then, Doodlebird Design and Gifts and St. Kate's Bookstore is my 4th.
So do you just call the store proprietor and say, "Hi, I'm Laura. Can I send you these products to try?"
Yeah, I mean, actually, in all of the situations except for the St. Kate's bookstore.
Were you an alumni? Is that
Yes,
okay?
exactly. Yep, I'm an alum. So
Good for them.
I reached out to them, but everybody else actually came to me first. So Upsy Daisy found me through Etsy, and so they contacted me that way. And then I did a market at Scout Vintage Collective last summer. And met the ladies there, and they're so wonderful.
Okay, Laura, I'm going to encourage you to spend a day and get this wrapped up.
I
They're
know.
calling you. My gosh, you're so lucky.
I know, I am super lucky. Yeah, so I've got several on my list of other places to contact. And so, yep.
Is there a business that you admire that's like a Twin Cities business where you're like, wow, I want to be like that person. They really seem like they're doing it well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's inspirational business owners all over the place. Hagen and Oates, those ladies, I'm totally always in awe of what they can accomplish.
I don't even know what they do. Who are they?
They do woodworking.
Oh,
and,
okay.
Really beautiful pieces.
All right.
Yeah, and they're just really fun and a good. They're sisters that started their business together.
Cool.
So yeah, so I definitely feel like, oh yeah, I would love to be like Hagen and Oates. Yeah, Excelsior Candle Company. She's another one of my friends, and she's doing a fabulous job and working her tail off. She's in Kowalski's now, and so definitely, there's a lot of people in the cities that inspire me.
Is your business seasonal? Is holiday, a big time for you, and you've got to stock up? And do your products expire?
Yes and yes. So yeah, the holidays are definitely the busiest time of year. I think I did a third of my business last year was in November and December. And yeah, so expiration dates, bath bombs are longer on the expiration scale. You could probably hold on to one for 2 years and it'd be fine. Probably wouldn't be as fizzy in the bath, But my bath and body oils, my wet body butters, I usually suggest don't hold on to them more than a year.
Mm-hmm. So are you able to do you have health insurance and you got that covered through your spouse?
Yep.
How do you get money to go and buy all your batches of oil? Do you ever worry about inventory or running out of day-to-day cash to front your business?
I pretty much just stay on top of it, so I don't spend more than I have in the bank.
Okay.
And what that means that I don't pay myself all the time. So yeah, I mean, that's exactly how I do it. I just am okay, well,
but you do pay yourself some of the time, which is interesting.
Right. Yeah.
So what makes you decide that you're not going to pay yourself all the time?
So I have a plan for about how much that I think that I'm going to be making for the next 3-month cycle.
Okay.
And then from there, I sort of look out and I can estimate how much I'm going to be spending and what I'm running low on in stock. And then I project out, okay, I'm going to need about this much money. And then I know what my big expenses are. So I actually carry business insurance also, a liability insurance.
Sure.
So, and so the cost for that is one of my biggest costs annually. And then I have a mailbox, and the cost for my mailbox is my second biggest expense annually. So,
yep.
So those two together, I just make sure that I am putting away enough so that I can pay those every year.
So for your goals for 2017, besides maybe paying yourself every 90 days,
yeah.
Do you have goals? And
yeah, I mean, my goals are to be in more wholesale stores.
Okay.
So that's definitely one. So
if anyone hears this and wants to get Laura's products, we'll get you connected.
Yeah, exactly. So my goal at the beginning of the year was 10 wholesale accounts, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to go beyond that.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll take as many wholesale accounts as I can manage. And then and then I just really want to learn how to drive more traffic to my site. So that's the focus really that I'm trying to.
Are you taking classes in search engine optimization or using your social to do that?
Yeah, so I'm definitely using a lot of social media, and then there is a local Twin Cities business owner, May Pack, who does Creative Hive Co. And so I'm taking a course through her and she does more than just SEO, but other tutorials basically on how to find your ideal customer and bring them to your site.
Cool.
So that's been super informative, and I love.
And that woman's name is May Pack?
Yep, May Pack.
Okay, yep. I'm going to have to look her up, too.
Yep,
that sounds pretty
she's
interesting.
Great. Yeah. And she does like a handmade jewelry line, like a foodie jewelry line. So it's really cute stuff.
Oh, I think I've seen it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Is it the like leather bracelets with the pigs on them and
like little clay, like little foods, like so.
Yeah, I think I've seen them. Yep.
Yeah.
So when you are going to give advice to somebody else that maybe is listening to this and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I have this product, I want to do it." Like, what advice would you give someone that's starting up? And how long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it full time now for about just a little over a year and a half.
Okay, so you're still pretty.
Yeah, so I'm green.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I feel like I'm not really sure if I'm in a position to give advice.
Why? You did it. That's half the battle, is taking the leap.
Yeah. I'm since I'm learning still every day. I'm still in this learning mode.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'm like, well, I'm definitely not a pro. I don't know. Do
you suffer from like self-doubt sometimes where you're just like, oh my God, I don't even know how I can be doing this?
Yes, all the time. Yeah.
Have you heard of something called the imposter syndrome?
Yes, I have. Yes.
I'm actually giving a speech on it at the end of this week. And if it's good, I may market it myself because so many women, and I did this too in my business, like you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. They're going to find out that I'm doing this and they're going to be like, who are you to be doing this? And then at the same time, to be successful, you have to like have this total egomania that takes over where like, I can do this. I am just going to do this and nobody's going to stop me. And it's very manic, those two states.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, when you reached out to me, I thought, I am really not the person. I am not an authority on small business stuff, But yeah, no, I mean, if I was going to give advice to somebody, I would say, try and put as much of yourself into what you're making as you can. Like, and have it be your authentic self. And
great advice for lots of people and lots of products. Because that's really what makes you stand out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Is your love of it and just being your authentic delivery of, when I do these podcasts, anyone can talk to anyone, but I really want to hear like what kept you up at night and how you grew the business and what's important to you. Can you think of your worst day?
I have had many really stressful days, but I don't have one that stands out as like the worst.
What stresses you out?
That sometimes like I'm afraid that I will make a batch of something like maybe soap.
Yep. And
everything will go wrong. And so the fear that everything might go wrong, I'm like, well, I'll just make it tomorrow, and then it gets to the point where it's like, oh, I don't have any more tomorrows. I really need to get it made, or I'm not going to have it ready in time for the holidays or whatever it is.
So you use that sort of fear, it sounds like, to almost propel you into action.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm doing that on lots of things too. When you start like a new thing in particular, like, oh, well, I know this is due Friday and it's Wednesday, but I'm sure I'll have more time. And then all of a sudden you get to Thursday and you're just like, oh my God, I've got to get this done.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It's almost like forces you to just buckle down.
Yep, exactly.
I think that's a kind of, when you're working freelance or you're working from home, you're always playing those games in your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're always working, but there's so many different tasks that require your attention in your business.
Yes.
That actually making the product or buckling down and producing the deliverable goods can sometimes be the last thing that you do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still rethinking so many things that I thought that I was already settled on. So I'm rethinking some packaging options. I'm rethinking if I want to, I currently print all of my own labels. So I really am thinking, okay, I'd like to get hooked up with a printer so I can not have to print all these labels on the fly anymore. So on one hand, it's given me a lot of flexibility as I've started off. And so I can say, oh, I just want to do a small batch of this flavor of scrub and see how it goes. But then if it gets into crunch time, like at the end of the year, November, December, I just thought I'm never going to be able to keep up with making all of the products, making all the labels, labeling them all. It was one thing where I thought, if I can save myself anywhere, I really want to cut out making labels because it's such a pain. And then I had issues where the original printer that I had wouldn't make waterproof labels.
Yep.
And so people had scrubs, and the scrubs were bleeding in the shower. And I'm like, well, that's not good.
Right.
So then I bought a brand new printer, and so that's working better on one front, but then it doesn't work for all different kinds of paper. So
continual evolvement.
yeah, exactly. It's always, I'm always learning and tweaking like what my process is. And it's really funny how different my day-to-day is in making products that is right now than it was even at the beginning of 2015.
Yeah. And it's different work.
Yeah.
And it's different work, and you balance your day better or differently, I guess. It's really been fun to talk to you. It's Laura Ochoko from the Bath Bird. Is there a national company that you admire that you're just like, oh my God, someday maybe I'll try to get them to buy me?
I don't really think about that. Burt's Bees is certainly a company that I've admired.
Sure.
But I haven't really thought, I think that they'd really like to buy my recipe for this. There's a lot of ways to admire different companies.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's companies that I admire, like I really admire Ben & Jerry's for their ethics.
Sure.
And I admire other companies like that are really women-centered.
Yep.
So I'd like my company to have those values. And so if I ever sold it would hopefully be to a company that
had similar values.
Yeah, exactly.
And that you think about your company in terms of having a value proposition or a value statement really says a lot about your company right there. Mm-hmm. That you are aligned with those values. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Laura. Well, it's been great to talk to you.
Thanks
it's the
so
Bath
much.
Bird. You're welcome. The grapefruit sugar scrub is the one that I'm crazy about that's in my shower right now. But there are lots of great products, and you can find them at thebathbird.com. And thanks for being our guest today.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Stay tuned for 60-second AP News headlines.